time, everybody. On the Perf podcast is on the air and in your earballs. We are once again brought to you by Briley Manufacturing. The Briley IPSC update for the week. It's match sign-up season, all right? If you want to shoot some matches this year, this is the time of year where you're shooting less, which means you should be signing up more so that it hurts less later when you have to buy stuff. I think all of the IPSC rifle matches are open for sign-up. All of the first and second quarter matches are open for sign-up. I know my matches, the ones that I match direct, are going live February 1st, which if we mathed correctly will be somewhere in the near future when you're hearing this. So the USPSA Multi-Gun Nationals and the Jeff Kirkwald Memorial Shotgun Rehearsal Match and the IPSC Rehearsal Rifle, or the IPSC Rifle Qualifier at the Multi-Gun Nationals. That will all be live and up for you to sign up for. So get on out there, get signed up, and start putting your calendars together this time of year because, gosh, what the hell else do you have to do? And, as always, we are also brought to you by our friends at Atlas Gunworks.
Yeah, so I had an interesting thing happen here. So I had the Atlas V1 grip on my STI, not staccato, STI, pre-staccato. My good old DVC3 gun got itself an upgrade a little while ago. I put the Atlas grip on there, which is pretty nice because then both my guns essentially have the same grip, the same magwell, the same trigger, the same everything, although they don't feel the same, partly because there's not an Atlas on top of them, and partly because I am not actually a gunsmith. But the one thing that was really missing, as soon as I put all that stuff together, I really missed the 45-degree lead safety that comes on Atlas pistols. If you haven't shot an Atlas pistol, the safety doesn't go down to 90 degrees the way that it does on pretty much every other double-stack 1911 platform. I missed it a lot, enough that I just went and bought one with my own money so that safety could feel like my other Atlas guns. If you have not had a chance to check out those Atlas safeties, they are super nice. You can see on my YouTube channel my process of learning to love them because my hand is weirdly shaped. I broke my thumb years ago, which means my thumb doesn't make the turn like it's supposed to. And these things went from, I don't know if this is going to work, to I don't want to ever have a gun without this. So go get yourself one. We also have ourselves.
So you're talking about like on an Ed Brown or a Wilson style 1911 thumb safety where in the disengaged position they lay, let's say, parallel to the slide rails, the frame rails.
Correct. Yes.
And Atlas has designed theirs so that it's a little bit prouder. It's more at a 45-degree angle so that in a modern pistol grip, when a modern hand's grip on a pistol, let's say, the way your thumbs stack in there, they don't necessarily lay flat because anatomy is a thing. So they kind of rolled theirs up a little bit at I'm taking Riser's word for it. It's a 45-degree angle because I haven't thought about it until just 5 minutes ago.
I think it's more like 35, but I say 45 because that's how the AR safeties work.
Yeah, the lever sits a little bit prouder so that it fits your thumb a little bit more natural, and it gives you something a little bit more to push on to get some leverage on the pistol.
I think the biggest thing, it leaves room for your other hand. Like
that's
you can
really
get your left hand higher on the gun and get a little bit more meat in there. I think that's the biggest thing.
Like you can lay your thumb on there, you can get your hand tucked in. Sometimes you can't do both, and then opening up this lever, the angle of this lever, kind of makes some room for your support hand knuckle to come in. So,
yeah, they're pretty sweet. I put my gun together, put the old safety on, dry fired it for like 5 minutes, and I was like, you know what, F that thing. I'm gonna fix this, and went and got myself a new safety.
Yeah, and we are still working on a code for you guys over at perfectzero.com. We don't have it yet, but we anticipate having one soon. So get your shopping list ready because Marky Mark promised me that he was going to give me a good one. So we'll see what that means.
Well, a good one better be OTP and then some numbers because we can't keep them all straight.
That we got numbers to keep track of, and that's hard enough.
Yeah.
Because we got OTP 10 at Briley, we have OTP 15 at American Defense Manufacturing. Man, we could get like an OTP 25 or something. I shouldn't even tease that. It's probably going to be something like 15%. But
I feel like the code, if it's not going to be OTP something, it should be Maximus Decimus Aurelius.
Oh, yeah.
Have to spell it correctly.
Yeah, Maximus is the real Erebus.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one.
Matt just threw his phone at the wall.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry. Just going to have to deal with it.
This is how we are. This is why you love us.
Exactly. Well, as you can tell, we're not very organized today, but what we do know is that before the day's topic comes the Gary of the day, brought to you by American Defense Manufacturing. Like Maxwell said, OTP 15 gets you 15% off of some of the best ARs and AR components that you can get. They make
authority
really good stuff
in ambidextrous AR-15 receivers. They were doing it before it was cool, and they probably did it the best. Often imitated, never duplicated.
So, hang on, do they? I'm assuming since you are a fan of the left-handed ADM stuff and run it, I'm guessing they didn't do the thing that a lot of AR manufacturers do when they make left-handed stuff, is put a lot of gating and shielding in there to make sure that right-handed people don't accidentally hit the left-handed buttons and basically make them not actually useful for left-handed people.
Oh, you mean like Knight's Armament?
Yeah, I mean like that.
Yeah, they did ambidextrous in a way that is actually ambidextrous, in that it's stuff that left-handers actually would want to use, which a lot of times is not the case. A lot of times it's more like, oh shit buttons for right-handed people. But so the stuff on the shooter's left side of the gun are actually oversized and easy to reach, namely the bolt catch release and the magazine release. But I think actually what makes it cool is probably more for the right-handed shooters, because the real standout feature of the receiver set in the ADM rifles is the bolt carrier catch and release from the right-handed side of the gun, shooter's right side. So you can catch and release the bolt carrier with your fire control trigger finger. So you slide it up with your trigger finger to lock the bolt back, and then obviously if you slide it down, that releases the bolt. There were other companies that had releases on shooter's right-hand side. ADM was one of the first to be able to catch and release. LMT did it. They kind of like put almost like a GI style ping pong paddle on the other side. I kind of feel like it was poorly executed. Radian did a really cool version of it where you could push the magazine release if you held the magazine release. But I think ADM probably did it the smartest and is probably one of the more copied ways to do it. And ultimately is what won me in the beginning. But I think the coolest part of there's lots of cool parts of their rifle, but I think the ambidextrous controls of their lower steals the show.
Yep, indeed. Well, on to the Gary, folks, and do I have one for you? So our Gary of the day was something that I saw at an NRL Hunter match, and I'm actually going to call the guy out because this guy was a dipshit.
Was he sky busting?
No sky busting, but you'll hear in a minute. So this guy's name was Adam Riser. He looked a lot like me. Yeah, he is just man.
Is this one tall?
No. This one's also short. Yeah. So me and my buddy Rick, we're shooting a stage, and the way that NRL Hunter works, for those of you who haven't shot one, you walk up to the stage. All the stages are blind, and then there are markers where your firing positions will be from. On this particular stage, there was one target, and there was 4 firing positions, and they were spray painted rocks. And me and Rick weren't doing super good on our first couple stages, having some trouble with the terrain. So I'm sort of kind of listening to what the RO is saying. RO happened to be Cody Leaper, which is
Error
pretty
number
funny.
one.
And I'm sort of kind of listening to what he's saying, but mostly I'm like looking at this first weird janky position, trying to figure out what I'm going to build there. And in doing so, I missed a super important piece of information. I shot my first position, then I ran forward and I shot my second position. Then I ran forward farther out into this field and I couldn't find my third position. And I'm running around with this rifle being like, where do I go? Where do I go? And my buddy Rick is like, what the hell are you doing? Get back here. I'm like, what are you talking about? Go forward. He's like, no. The other positions are up on this flat rock to the left. So normally the positions, you kind of move in one way or the other. You move right to left to right, back to front. This one had one position, then a position forward of that, then two positions back and up on a rock to the left. And I didn't hear that piece of information. So I just ran out into this open field with my gun looking for rocks that didn't exist. So the Gary of the day is not listening to the stage brief in whatever sport you're in and then trying to execute a stage without all the information, because you will always Gary it up when you do that.
That's true. And I think maybe the little stages are the ones you got to watch out for more than anything. Especially like a pistol match. The little stages, that's where you're going to be like, oh, and then shoot the last 3 targets, weak hand only. Or mandatory reload. Or, it's the devil's in the details there. So,
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Well, what do you got for us today, Maxwell?
All right. So, Riser had a sweet idea for a topic for today. Couldn't deny it. We couldn't sit on it. This one we just had to put right out into the stratosphere. And the question is, things we used to believe that we don't anymore, as pertains to shooting.
I feel like this could go on forever. We did just I threw this out and he's like, oh yeah, that one. And we just started jotting stuff down really quick. We spent about 2 minutes on this. So I think we're going to be just kind of remembering things as time goes on. This strikes me as one that might come back again in about 6 months, because I have the feeling that I'm going to think of things as soon as we get off the air here. But we're going to kick it off. I would say for me, especially early on. So I am going to use air quotes here. I was good pretty fast when it came to 3-gun. That was for a few reasons. One of them is I didn't understand the difference between local and national competition. so good is a relative thing. But the other thing was I was just a generally pretty fit and pretty fast person. And I could kind of do things wrong fast enough to hide the fact that I wasn't actually a very good shooter. So the thing that I believed early on that I don't believe anymore is that fitness is more important than skill when it comes to competition shooting. And man, is that not the case. Not even remotely close. It's important, but if you don't have the skill, once you get to a national stage, doesn't matter how fit you are, how fast you are, and you can have all the skill in the world and outperform people who are way fitter than you, who are just faster and fitter.
Yeah, for sure. And the state of the sport at that time, you could get away with that kind of thing, right? Because it was still what I think of as kind of the Wild West days of you could fail quickly and keep on track.
Yep.
But I think that was definitely it was. I just think back to our Drink Ironman days and you could epically screw something up and people could call out, oh hey you forgot, and then you could come back and you could do that all quick enough and still be in it. Where now that's not it. There's no perfection in our sport, but there is they're pretty close to it.
Yeah.
They're pretty close to it at the top.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, yeah, and I think that was a big thing. it was more physical back then, but even on like the local stuff, and they're pretty good, local shooters here. Like Andy Peterson was he was on the Pro Series and shooting here locally. There was a handful of other people who were pretty good. We had a pretty good little 3-gun scene going down here.
And then they found girls.
And then they all found girls. Yep. But yeah, there was a time, I don't know if it was stage design or just like overall skill or whatever, but there was a time when you could just do stuff wrong fast enough to win. And man, like not even close. Like you need all the skills. And I would say if you had to pick one, if you're like, I can either work out today or dry fire today, in you're starting from zero, dry fire. Like you need all of the shooting skills before the fitness even starts to matter, because that's just the way it is now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to retort in some way, because like I know that I'm at a place where fitness is what's holding me back, but yeah,
but you have the skills.
Oh yeah, but I put the two together. Like I
Yeah.
dry fire before I work out. That is like that's peanut butter and jelly. They go right together. But yeah, there was a time where physicality you could muscle your way through, and that's just not anymore with athletes like Varick and John and AJ and Kyle and even Brian grew into his skin a little bit. There was a time where Brian was very checkers or wreckers, but like not anymore. Those guys are comfortable right on the ragged edge of as fast as the gun will go. And it's really kind of a game of chicken as to who can push it the fastest and not lose control. Whereas before, I don't think the shooting skill, like I don't think that the sport didn't have the skills. It hadn't evolved to the point where that was the case, but I think now it has through tribal knowledge. I think collectively all the athletes have kind of set a new baseline as to what mediocre is, and so the guys at the top they're at the top for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see, which one should I do first? I'll go with magnification is my friend.
That is such a good. Oh my God, yes. How is that not on my list?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Lots of dudes, especially when I was first getting started, they'd have a 1 to 6 and or a 1 to 4 actually. There's lots of 1 to 4s when I first started. And 1 to 6 was like, man, it's on 1 power or it's on 6 power. Like they just crank it all the way up. And then that's when and those guys would come over into the era of the 1 to 8s and the 1 to 10s and like, oh, now I actually have too much magnification for things. And so like that, I think I've even said it on the show here a few times. Like I prefer the Riser 1 to 10s in every way to the 1 to 6s, but I rarely turn them up past 3 or 4 power because field of view is a thing. As you zoom in, you lose field of view. And on some optical systems, the image will get darker. All right, so light transmission is inversely related to magnification as well. The more you zoom in, the darker the image is going to get, and the narrower the field of view is going to get. And sometimes those are not desirable things. So just coming into a position and cranking it all the way to the stop, not a thing anymore. I very rarely do that.
Yeah, I play around as my eyes have changed and my guns have changed and everything else. The magnification that I use has evolved quite a bit. I now use, I would say I probably use more magnification in long range prone stuff than I used to, because I now shoot open and I have bipods and stuff, so things are just more stable. But I use less magnification for all of the intermediate range. Like the spots where I used to bump it to 3, I almost never do anymore. I basically shoot everything offhand on 1 power these days. I've done pretty extensive testing with it, and essentially if I'm just standing on my hind legs, my rifle is on 1 power. And that's just kind of all there is to it these days. And occasionally I'll go play around with it, but I used to shoot it all on 3 because I'm like, oh, I need to see more target. I'm like, hey, you get more target, but you also get more perceived movement. It really sucks you into the scope a lot more. Like as soon as you're off of 1 power, you are now in a tube instead of seeing everything that's going on around you. And the spot where it really got me last year was at Memorial on the movers. I shot the 220-yard movers. They have like these moving robots that just like walk through a field, and I shot them on 6 power, and my God, that was like comfortably 3 times too much. Like I maybe should have bumped it to 2, and I probably just should have shot him on 1, but like whatever it was, 6 was way too much. Way too much.
Well, and really what did it for me was my era of limited shooting where the magnification was not an option. I think that's really what broke me out of that mindset where my eyes were kind of opened to what you could accomplish on 1 power.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I was doing it better than people using magnification. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't feel like I needed the safety net of magnification, where I think that's a lot of times what it is for people. They're zooming in. They're using magnification almost as like a safety blanket a little bit. Like I think I'm just going to speculate here. I haven't asked the guys specifically, but I think the people at the top of the list who used magnifiers at PCSL Nationals, it was really just a comfort thing. I don't think they needed that. I think it was just, they're comfortable that they're shooting 10% in front of the field. And so it just kind of gives them a little bit of a breath to be sure. But I don't think it's like, oh, yeah, I need 3 power to make this shot happen. No, I don't think you do. I think it just is kind of a safety blanket. And the era that I shot limited, which would have been in the 2016, 2017 timeframe, that really, really opened up my eyes to like, oh, I don't necessarily need magnification to make that shot happen. And I was a little bit more comfortable with, or I got more comfortable with what, embracing the wobble and breaking the shot when it had to happen.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next on the list here. I would say I used to believe that it matters a lot what your pistol load is. Bullet grain weight, powder burn rate, the softness or the harshness whatever. Yep. Like really tuning that thing down, scraping bottom on power factor. I'm in the middle of loading for the off season right now. I'm about 5,000 rounds deep into a 20,000 round batch. And my load, I would say, is something that most people would not land on. I'm shooting 115 grain bullets with 4.9 grains of clean shot, which is about 130 power factor out of my pistol. And it's, if I was shooting 124s or 135s or 147s and some slower burning powder and everything else, it would really matter. Like it would feel so much nicer because it's like kind of harsh and snappy. However, I have never actually been able to shoot any drill with a higher score because I had a softer feeling gun. I have found throughout the years that as soon as I start shooting, I kind of don't notice. Like I'm just tracking the dot. I'm understanding where that thing's at. I am shooting at the appropriate pace. And while the heavier bullets going slower kind of feel nicer when I'm just standing there shooting the gun, when I'm actually going at like full race pace, I totally don't notice at all. I can have like 135s mixed in with my 115s and I can't tell which ones are which.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Like, I don't know that I could have measured it and say like, oh yeah, I can get better because this load X, Y, Z. Like you say, it's more of a feel thing for me, and I'm very tangible about the shooting experience. Like that's what I like. I like the feel of it. So I definitely tune loads that feel better, or like the preference that I have for a 9mm load right now. I kind of went the full spectrum. I went 115 grains, then I went to the heavy bullets, and then kind of had the sluggish feeling on them, and then landed back in the middle at medium weight bullets. Now, really, the reason I care about bullet weight is I want the medium to heavier bullets because I can load them longer, and so they're deeper into the case. And when I load them longer, again, it's not something that I can look on the clock and be like, yeah, I got a 10th out of that hand load. It is more like just the feel of the whole locomotion of the thing is smoother. And since I'm rolling my own and I can choose, why would I not choose that? Is kind of why I do it. But yeah, I don't believe that getting right down to 125 is necessarily the answer. Although, in that same breath, I'm trying to get right down to it's kind
say
of
the words.
thing.
Go on.
Yeah, getting right down there. But I do think that's not to say like I don't think it's. You can't say, well, it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to shoot factory ammo. Like factory ammo that is ridiculously hot.
Yeah, it does matter. It just doesn't matter at the margins, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it matters as much as people think it does, or as much as their tism wants to chase it.
Yeah,
right? Like I don't know it's worth the brain damage to get it right down there.
Well, that's a big part of it. Is like I hate load develop. So the way I landed on this load was literally I got a very good deal on a whole bunch of 115 grade bullets. So I bought 50,000 of them. And I was like, well, I guess I'm shooting 115s for a while. And then the powder that I could find in bulk was clean shot. And I was like, I guess we're loading with clean shot. And that's just the way that it is. I was shooting tight group forever and just, had a little chunk where I couldn't find anyone. I needed some. So I made the switch to clean shot. Don't notice the difference between those two. And I was coming off of a 135 grain load. And for sure, like if I put 3 135s in there and 3 115s in there and I go bang, 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 and I shoot the 6, I can for sure feel where the change is.
Yeah.
But in the middle of a stage, don't notice. And so I'm like, well, whatever. I'll just shoot these then. And I'm at 130 power factor. I got plenty of buffer for, temperature swings and all that other stuff. And they're actually like kind of spicy out of my long pistol because they're 135 out of an Apollo. So they're 130 out of an Apollo, which is a 4.6 inch ported barrel. So you're losing a lot of velocity both due to length and the ports. But I do the same thing with the rifles. Like I have a rifle load that's, it is what it is and it's accurate enough. And when I get a new upper, I get a new barrel, I get a new gun, I take it out to the range and I just go, please run. And I shoot it and it runs and it groups good enough and I'm done. Because I hate load development. Like all the trips to the range and shooting groups and shooting past a car. I just want to shoot. I don't want to mess around with stuff. I just want to do the shooting part.
Yep. Yeah. But like if you're north of like 135, like then it's like
you start to really feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, you start to really feel it. Or I would also say I feel like it matters more when you're shooting major. So if you're shooting in sports or in calibers where you shoot major, like I love shooting 45. I do not love shooting factory 45. Okay, because factory 45 is like 190, 195 power factor. I like 45 that is like 167. Again, because I'm in it. I'm a soul shooter, right? So I'm in it for the feel. Like I like the way that feels. Unfortunately, where it feels good is right on the edge of where it gets you into trouble. Or same thing with 40 Smith & Wesson. 40 Smith & Wesson in almost all of its factory loaded configurations is horrible. It's just dog shit. It does not feel good. Hand-loaded 40, on the other hand, with different powder choices, and again, kind of loaded into that 170 range, hand-loaded 40 feels pretty sweet. But again, I don't know. It's probably a little bit less of a fine line in major because as you start to jump up into some of that really hot, some of that really snappy stuff, it is going to mess with you more. But there aren't very many people actually shooting major anymore outside of open, so it's kind of a moot point for the sport. But Yes,
Yep.
I would definitely agree with you there. Once you find a load that is accurate, works well in your gun, makes power factor, leave it alone.
Stop.
Leave it alone.
Just load more of that.
And really the only reason I mess around with it more is because of my personal situation with how I source ammo. We get it from different places at different times because our relationships change. So
Yep.
by the time we get through the end of this, now we're using this instead. Or, when we were buying powder, that powder wasn't available, or something like that. A lot of times with long range ammo. It's like, this time, Hornady wanted to trade, so we got a bunch of Hornady ammo. And then the next time we got Federal, and then the next time we got Barnes, and all good stuff, but like one to the next to the next to the next. And some of this was through some of those ammo famines. So like I had landed on, man, I really want to use Barnes 75 grains or Barnes 70. No, I wanted to use Barnes 80 grain 223 ammo. Good luck finding that,
Do the heavy bullets play nice in a short barrel? Is that the deal?
I wasn't really good at long range then, so I don't know that it even really mattered. But like I just decided, I'm like, this is my load now, and then I couldn't get it, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to you can get Federal gold medal anywhere. I'm gonna zero in on Federal gold medal. Well, Hornady's hooking us up right now. So which Hornady do you want? So I have a bunch of different ammo sets. That's very unique to my situation. A lot of times when people hear me messing, on the show, you'll hear me messing around with stuff. It's industry people having industry problems. If I was just left to my own devices as a private person, I would just, once I found one, I would pick one and stick to it. Like in my 9mm load for the longest time, 124 grain bullet, 3.8 a tight group. Like that's it. Boom. It didn't even chronograph. This was before the Garmin 0 days. Like, I just had it on good information that was a good load. Always made power, always chronoed well. Good to go. Never even messed with it.
I ended up with the same. I just sent my my buddy Robert a text, and I was like, hey man, I can't find any tight group. What powder should you use? I have 115 grain bullets, and he's like 4.9 grains a clean shot, 115 grain bullets is 130 power factor. I'm like, dope. I loaded up, and sure enough, like bang on 130. I was like, okay, I guess we're good.
I'm in and I'm out.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. All right. What do you got, homie?
I'll piggyback onto that one. Match ammo is a ripoff. Which is ironic because I would be going to matches. I think one of the first times I felt this, I was going to Kentucky for Blue Ridge. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to use match ammo at that. I'm like, it's in the name. You're at a match. But
use the match ammo. Yeah.
But like in my head, it was like, well, match ammo, they mean like Camp Perry or F class or something like that. But nah, dude, like kind of like we've said before on the show, like you're spending a few $1,000s to get to some of these events. Like shoot the good ammo.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was the whole thing on my 6 arc experiment, right? When people were like, "Ooh, Mr. Moneybag shooting 6 arc," I'm like, "Dude, it's $20. Would you pay $20 to have a better trajectory on your bullet?" Well, yeah, I guess I would. There you go. Or on the shotgun side, guys would always buy double A's for matches, or Remington STS or Federal gold medal. They were, they wouldn't shoot that stuff any other time, but for the big matches, they would shoot that stuff because it had more consistent hulls. It had more consistent shot sizes. They used the better wads. So in the beginning, I guess it was kind of my Midwestern frugalness of just like, oh, well, that's fancy. That's for fancy people, and I'm not a fancy person.
No, that's for people who want to hit the long range stuff.
Yeah, like that matters. It matters. Match ammo is not a ripoff. Now, would I go and burn it like it was free? No. But when you're at the match, that is what it's for. So I would use it.
Yeah, I'm to the point now and have been for quite a few years where, and I never had the I don't need to shoot the nice stuff on the long range because I grew up on a farm shooting at very long ranges, so I had a pretty good understanding of the difference between the good stuff and the not good stuff. My cutoff has actually come in. So I used to shoot the good stuff starting at about 200 yards, and it would also be like target dependent. Now I shoot the good stuff on anything past 100 yards. Like I shot match rounds on the prone stage at PCSL Nationals because there was 4 PCSL targets with a no shoot at like, what were those, like 170?
Yep.
Yeah. So I loaded like, I don't know, 12-ish or something because it's like maybe some makeups, but I loaded some heavy bullets with good powder and that I like took real care loading that I know are under a minute and loaded those to shoot those 4 targets specifically. And that was the only heavy stuff I shot in the whole match, but it was like those targets matter. The bullet that I shoot at them is going to matter. My gun is zeroed with that stuff, so I'm going to shoot those on that. I've had other matches where I shot mostly match ammo through the whole thing because that's just the way things broke out. But if there are targets past 100 yards and they're not the size of a school bus, I will be shooting the good stuff.
Well, yeah, or like we would even hear talk of guys like Dan Horner, like, oh yeah, he just shoots 77s for the whole match. Oh
yep.
Man, and it's like, oh, it must be nice and this and that and the other thing. Now I would make that decision happily just to not have the decision, just for the mental state of mind of like, well, should I or shouldn't I? Like, just so that's not even in the equation, just that little bit. Again, when I actually do the math on like how much you're how little you're actually saving by not using match ammo, using quote unquote hoser ammo. Just the peace of mind of like, nope, I don't have any zero shift. I don't have any like, this is my rifle ammo for this weekend. But like, I won't do that at local matches or it's like if this is one of those events, if it's a big event and you care about the outcome.
So you just shoot the heavy stuff the whole weekend?
I have, yes.
Okay. I actually do bring both. I bring the hoser for the base stage stuff and I bring the nice stuff. But if I'm on a stage and it even like crosses my mind to shoot the nice stuff, I'll just shoot the nice stuff. And I used to do a lot more candy caning than I do now. I used to be like, oh, I'm going to shoot this many paper targets on the way in. So I'd put like 10 of whatever on, the hoser stuff. Like I just don't really do much of that anymore. Yeah. I mostly just like, this is a nice ammo stage. This is a cheap ammo stage.
Yep.
And that's how I do it.
And I think over time I've kind of mellowed out and I've come back to that a little bit, and it's more like I won't candy cane anymore. It's like if there's anything on this stage that gets the good ammo, it's a good ammo stage. And if we're just running through a trench and hosing stuff really close, then it doesn't get the good. I can shoot 55s and not notice the difference.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next on my list. Your gun doesn't matter. It's the Indian, not the arrow. All the shilly thing or the dumb things that people say on Instagram. My God, we're playing a race game. The car you're driving matters. Like you cannot beat a Formula One car with the Honda Civic. You just can't do it. The gun that you're shooting absolutely matters. Now, does it matter 30%? No. Absolutely not. But it matters a couple percent. And at the top, a couple percent is like 10 places. So the gun you're shooting, all 3 of them, super matters. They have to be reliable. They have to go bang every time you pull the trigger. They have to be accurate enough to do the thing that you're going to do. And the more accurate they are, the better for all 3 of your guns. It matters a lot. The gun that you're shooting, especially if you're flying across the country to have a gun bite you, that super sucks. And you only do that kind of once, and then you're pretty much over it.
Yeah, like that saying kind of plays in the, like, I would not get into the sport because you can't afford whatever the gun is. Like, the gun you have to get in the sport is fine, but like where people start to trip up once they get past that entry phase, and they get be like, well, it's not the gun. The gun shoots better than me. Well, like, yeah, that's true up to a point, but I think most of the people who are how would I say this? I think if you shoot at least if you compete at least once a month or 6 times a year, you can't the guns are affecting your performance. Again,
100%.
to what extent? And it's kind of trendy right now, especially cuz the Glock boys got a new generation, so they're all excited about Gen 6 stuff. And there's some competitors even now, some guys at a top level. Like, you got to be careful talking about guys at a top level. But I mean, there's guys at a top level who say like, "Oh, yep, Glock's all I need," or they'll point to those guys and be like, "Brantley Merriam, he uses a Glock." Yeah, he does. He's probably also doing himself just a little bit of a disservice. Now,
Yep.
is it 1%, 2%? Yeah, probably. It's probably something very small like that. But guess what? At the top, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's
Now,
still some.
yeah, does that mean that because XYZ shooter makes that choice, does that mean you should make that choice? No, a lot of times it's being justified as a reason to not spend money. So they're kind of using it as a poor excuse. Like, oh yeah, I don't need to upgrade my equipment. So and so uses my equipment. He does really good. Yeah, probably also shoots 50,000 rounds more than you do a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guns do matter. And what took me a long time to realize was that it's all variables. And like we learned in school, in science classes, you can only be as accurate as your least accurate instrument, as your least precise instrument. All right? So you can't work in millimeters if the smallest unit of measure you have is a centimeter. If the only point of reference you have is a centimeter plus or minus 1 centimeter is as close as you can get. So when we say equipment's holding you back, if your skill level is 1 MOA, but your, let's say, rifle is 3 MOA, all right, 1 MOA plus 3 MOA, that's 4 MOA. That's the closest you can get. All right? Now, if you're a 1 MOA shooter with a 2 MOA gun, you would see better results. All right? So, like, the cone of precision starts to shrink down. It's small stuff. But at some point, it is holding you back.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. What you got, dude?
Next one I got, this one's from my childhood hero, Rob Romero. Heard him say this at a match. I was squatted with him one time. Well, actually, I was squatted with him a couple times. But I heard him say, "Never shoot from here what you can shoot from there."
Oh, yeah. I've said that before.
Yeah, so the inference is if you can see a target in the back, but you can run up close to it and shoot it, always run up close to it and shoot it. Like, take the easier shot. I don't believe that anymore because the bullets run faster than I do. So that is not a universal rule. You're not always going to save time running up on it and shooting it. Sometimes you are, like we saw at PCSL Nationals, right? So like stage 9. Yep. Sometimes you can, but not always. Whereas this was kind of an always thing before. And like now I think stage design is to a point where a lot of times if you can run up on a thing, but you can see it from somewhere else, there's a decent chance it's a trap.
Yeah, I think it really depends. Like, if you have to go to that position up front anyways, yeah, by all means, shoot stuff from there. 100%. But if you can eliminate a position by not doing that, good chance that you should look hard hard at that option. I got a great story about this. So I was shooting a match out in Colorado, Colorado 3-gun championship many moons ago. I think this is kind of like 2018-ish. And walking one of these stages, and this stage was just a nightmare, like a bunch of wild shotgun stuff, some weird spinny thing, and then some funky kind of offhand rifle on some paper targets, and then like to this day, the worst rifle position I've ever shot at or shot off of, which was, it was basically a swing set that didn't have a swing on it. Instead, there was a 2x4 hanging from 2 ropes, and that was what you put your rifle on. And it was jank. It was so bad. I did win this stage. I was very happy about it. But walking the stage, Jerry's there. At this point in time, I know Jerry just enough to be like, "Hey, Jerry," and he's like, "Hey, Adam." But
he's that
like
revolver guy.
Yeah, he's that revolver.
Oh,
yeah.
he knows your name?
Yeah,
Oh,
he knew my name. So like at this point, he knew my name when I was in a T-shirt. So I felt like really good about that. I'm like, hell yeah, Jerry Michalak knows my name. Like I've
Jerry
made
Michalak knows I'm the guy he can ask if Ruben's around. That's what he knows about me.
Yeah. So, anyways, but I was like, hey, Jerry, what do you think we should do here? And what we had going on was there's just a big run between where you pick up your rifle and where you have to shoot off of this swinging 2x4. And on this run, there's just a wall of paper targets, like 20 yards to the left. And I'm guessing there's 2, 4, 6. I bet there's 10 of them. Like 4 stacks of 2, just a wall of paper targets.
What match is this?
This was the Colorado 3-gun championship.
Oh, okay.
So wall of paper targets. We are time plus scoring, so A's don't matter. And then there's like 2 no-shoot stacks, so you can't just blaze all the targets. You need to take a few steps kind of forward and back in order to see them all and shoot them in like a little bit of opposition. But there's no fault lines, which means that you could run behind the no-shoots and just run past this wall of targets.
It's a trap.
Actually, no. Come to think of it, you shot those with a pistol. So they were like 20-yard pistol shots, or you could run up and shoot them. And I'm like, Jerry, what do you think we ought to do here? And Jerry goes, dude, there's 20 shots up there. I'm going to run 20 yards and I'm going to shoot them all in the chest from point blank. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. Like, if Jerry is going to run the 20 yards, I'm definitely going to run the 20 yards. I'm just like, stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
but
the guy who could definitely do that from the back is choosing not to.
100%. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we're just going to run up there and shoot him. But yeah, that was a good example of like, well, you put those 2 no-shoot targets in there. So now you can't just walk past them at 20 yards and shoot the things. Now you're adding like 3 separate weird little position moves, or you can just sprint 20 yards and shoot the things. And if Jerry, who I think was like 65 at the time, is going to make that run, I'm definitely going to make that run. So yeah, the point is look at the context of the stage around you and make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. My next one. We're shooting matches in the desert where it's really dusty and oil attracts dust. Therefore, you should run your guns dry.
Oh man, in the GWAT years, that was so prevalent.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This was like 2014 when I was told this by somebody freshly back from the GWAT. So, yeah. Here's the deal, folks. No guns like to be dry. Some guns like to be wetter than others, but no guns like to be dry.
Yeah, well, and I even remember in that era, like, I think, is Miltech still around, the lubricant?
I don't know.
They are. But at the time, like, that was the hot shit. It was like, it was a metal treatment, and you would heat it up with a lighter. You would heat the surface up with a lighter. You would apply this, and then let it cool off, and then you would wipe the excess off, and it would be dry on the surface. Like
really?
All surface treatments. Or Frog Lube. Remember Frog Lube?
Yeah, I think Frog Lube still might be around.
I think Frog Lube is still around.
Yeah,
but again, that stuff was like, it was a surface treatment, and if you actually leave it on the surface, it's too thick. But yeah, that was definitely around from the GWAT era of, oh yeah, stuff needs to run dry in the desert. No. Nothing dry works at Parma. nothing.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't want to just like crack that thing open and pour a bunch of CLP in there and close it up. Like,
Absolutely not. Nope. We need to use a little bit of intuition here.
Yeah. You need an appropriate amount of lubrication. Don't put on extra so it just attracts extra dirt, but you do need lube. Okay? We're talking metal on metal sliding parts. You need lube. It's just the way it is.
Yep. Like our machine gun uncle Larry Vickers says, never seen a gun malfunction that was too wet.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Next one. Irons are faster than red dots.
You were a believer, huh?
I was that guy. Actually, when I came to Vortex, I was that guy. I really only started shooting red dots on a pistol in large part because it was my job to talk to people on the phone about shooting red dots on a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike most people,
I should
in the
probably
industry,
have some knowledge here. Yeah.
Yeah, I should know something about this. Not just like I was in the phone queue. Like I was the guy. There was only one guy in rifle scope repair that worked on red dots at that time, and if Bill said it was good to go, like it came to my desk and I got to call that dude back.
So you were the dude that called somebody and be like, "Hey man, you don't know what you're doing. Your dot is fine."
Oh yeah, that's me. Yep.
That's a rough job.
Yep. And so that's one of the biggest, like, I would say probably the hardest job on the customer facing side, or at least the hardest aspect of, we call it customer care and consumer sales. They both get it. But yeah, they essentially, on the consumer sales side, if they go through the repair center and there's nothing wrong with them, they have to call that guy back and be like, hey, like, it's not the scope, so what else you got going on? Like, we're here to help. We're here to help.
It's not me, it's you.
But, yeah. Normally it's the rings, but specifically on the red dot side, like I was calling back all the red dot people in the era of the OG. We've since relaunched products with these names, but the OG Razor red dot, Viper red dot, and Venom red dots, the first ones that could get mounted on pistols, that was me. I had to call those people back and talk them off the ledge. And so I'm a dyed in the wool 1911 shooter, you know. So like, shoot red dots on a pistol, you know, for geriatrics and stuff like that. You know? But so I started shooting open. And when I started shooting open, I was like, oh, okay, okay, you know. But yeah, so like now I just laugh at it when I see like CSAT and those guys being like, "Oh, yep, irons are just faster. It's just personal preference, just personal." No, homie, it ain't personal preference.
They're not.
It ain't personal preference. I'm not saying irons are slow. Plenty of people can shoot irons fast. I can shoot irons fast, but it's not easier. It is. Yeah. It is not easier.
I've had this several times in classes where people are like, "Oh, well, you know, inside of 5 yards, I find irons faster." And I'm like, inside of 5 yards, I'm just pointing my gun at the target. Like I'm going to be honest. Like I don't see either. Like if I am trying to put down a fast draw to a target at 4 yards, I am squaring my body to the target and presenting the gun, and I am breaking a shot before I see any indication of any sight picture, and it will be an A. Like I'm not concerned about that. Like I wasn't seeing the sights. I'm usually not seeing the dot. Sometimes I get lucky and there's a little bit of red there before I make the shot.
Yeah, right.
Usually it's not even all the way up into my like line of sight yet. So yeah, irons are not faster. Now there is for sure a learning curve to red dots, and that you do need a good index so the dot is there when you draw your gun. But I don't think that learning curve is steeper than it is with iron sights. I think it is harder to learn iron sights correctly than it is a red dot by a lot. Like as soon as you have a good enough index that you can just draw the gun and the dot is there, you're kind of done. Like that's 90% of the you know, getting good enough, and then it's just learning not to be staring at the dot, which, you know, is hard for all kinds of other reasons, but you know, the same thing applies to like, you know, staring at the front side of the gun. So Yeah. My God.
Well, and also, I also think it's kind of misrepresented sometimes. Like, oh, well, they have to learn the dot. It's like most people weren't going places otherwise. Like, if you can't do this part, like the rest of it ain't happening for you either. It's not like you were a great shooter. You just couldn't get this dot thing figured out. Like, like, oh yeah, like he's a great driver. He just doesn't know how to drive a manual transmission. No, that's not what we're talking about. It's like, no, this is like saying, well, I'm not good at pressing the gas pedal, so I'm just going to do the rest of the driving like without the gas pedal. Like, no, that's not how that works.
Yep. Let's see. Next one on my list. I don't know exactly how to phrase this, but early on, my mission was to get good at what most people consider to be the advanced stuff. So quad loads, shooting on the move, shooting, in weird positions, reloads, things that look good on Instagram. The go fast, look cool, shooting fast splits. It was super important to me that I could shoot splits under 16. A quick draw, stuff along those lines. A couple years into my shooting, I was a student. Well, several years into my shooting, in fact. I was already teaching 3-gun classes at TPC, and I took a beginner pistol class from Ron Avery with like 10 other people. And it was a 3-day pistol class that didn't include any movement. So it was literally just standing there and learning how to shoot the pistol better for 3 days. And it was definitely one of the biggest advancements I had in the shooting sports, because I came to realize after a few seasons that I kind of skipped the fundamentals part because I had been shooting my entire life, but never really got taught how to do it right. So I was pretty fast at doing things wrong, and I had to go all the way back to square one in order to learn how to shoot the pistol correctly, in order to learn how to shoot it fast correctly, because I could kind of like do things wrong fast enough to beat people. But then when I took that to a national stage, I was like, this ain't cutting it anymore. Like, everybody else is just as fast and they're doing everything right. So their hits are better, their points are better, their times are just as good. The way that I'm doing it isn't cutting anymore. So, people come all the time. They want to learn, like, I want to learn how to shoot on the move. I'm like, cool. We're just going to shoot some really simple little thing. Like pretty standard. I'll do like, for a class, if a new student, I'm like, I need a quick glance at where this person's at. I'll set up like 7 or 10 yards, like draw, shoot 2 pieces of paper, do a reload, shoot 2 pieces of paper. So I get to see the draw, I get to see the reload, I get to see the splits, I get to see the transition, I get to see all the things, and I can usually pick something out like just with that I'm like, okay, we can work on this and I can, advance you quite a ways. A lot of people want to learn how to shoot on the move before they know how to shoot. Like, they're like, hey, I want to learn how to shoot on the move. I'm like, cool, do this quick little drill. And I'm like, you don't need, like, I can't teach you how to shoot on the move yet because you don't have the requisite skill to do the thing. Like, you don't have the skill to apply to shooting on the move, so we might as well not worry about the moving part right now. And that's kind of where I was. Like, I could run at a full sprint and shoot a bunch of misses and eventually connect. But so I was like, I'm shooting on the move super fast, but I wasn't. I was, I just didn't know how to do the shooting part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It took a while to get through my head.
Absolutely. I think also just like the adage of like on the YouTube world of like take a class. Like the way you get better is take class. I'm not saying you don't get better taking classes, but like the only way to get better is to take classes. And then like there's like this information in classes that you're only going to get there and not somewhere else.
Yep.
I took a ton of shooting classes looking for whatever this was that Garantham was talking about. Didn't find it. Like, I'm like, I can shoot better than these guys. Like, I already know how to reload. Like, I already know how to clear malfunction. Like, the adage that like there's the secret sauce in taking classes and building this resume of training classes that you've been to, because there's kind of like these there's entertainment people, like taking training classes is their thing, and they kind of collect the certs of the classes that they've taken.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, there are levels where taking a class is a good idea. If you've never skied before, it's a good idea to take a skiing class instead of just going up on the big mountain and figuring it out. But like take classes because you're targeting certain types of information. Just I need shoot better is not like you need to refine down a little bit more what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think classes for the most part, I think group classes, depending on the class, we've talked about this quite a bit before, that, there's classes that just, there's no value there for civilians. In many ways, there's no value there for other people as well. But if you're taking a class from somebody who is a good teacher, knows what they're doing, has a resume to back it up, I feel like early on where you need a bunch of information all at the same time because you just don't have any of it, I feel like the group classes are really good. But I think at all stages, there's more value in a private. They're way more expensive, like by time, like 4 times as much. But like I can teach somebody in a 1-hour private class. I feel like a student will get more information than they would in 8 hours of a group class where they're 1 in 10 students. And things always kind of like get trimmed a little bit to the lowest common denominator because there's always, some dude who's just trying to keep up. And no matter what your level is, like you will get more information from just standing there one-on-one with a good instructor and having them like pick you apart than you will being part of a line and, executing a thing. Cause like the real value in a class, like all the drills are out there. There's whole Ben Steger classes on YouTube. Like you can just watch the whole class.
Yeah. The
it's
whole
like
thing's
an hour
out there.
and a half video, and it will show all of his demos and all of the teaching. And I can tell you that I'm confident. I've never been to a Ben Steger class, but I'm confident that there is way, way more value in going to there's so much in having him watch you and then diagnosing what you're doing that you can't do on your own. I'll even just like when I'm shooting with other friends that are also good shooters, like when I go shoot with you or Zach or anybody like that, I will, be like, hey man, like, do you see anything weird that I'm doing? Cause like, I think I'm doing this right, but like sometimes you just miss it. And there's so much value in having somebody watch what you're doing and be like, hey man, like don't do this thing that you're doing. I noticed that you're doing this. It's there. I cannot overstate how much value there is in just standing there with another person who knows what they're doing and having them pick you apart and tell you what you're messing up.
Right. And like, I'm at the beginning stages of like, dude, I want to say it too soon, but I might have a training partner.
Ooh,
it's almost like freaking asking a girl out these days. I feel like, but dude, I think she's into me. But we're both professional instructors, and we're just jam sessioning together, and we'll just be like, hey man, what about this? Or like he set out some array of targets, and I'm like, oh, I think I want to shoot him that way. He's like, oh, that's interesting. Like you can kind of feed off each other, not necessarily just like in a critique environment. Like, what am I fucking up? It's just watching when you watch somebody shoot all the time, and you be like, hey man, why do you do that way? What are you talking about? That's where, I mean, the one-on-one stuff, especially when you get to a certain level. And Ben used the example of Ben. Ben said it point blank when he was on the Dalton Fury podcast. He's like, I put all that shit out there. He's like, you can't get the coaching from YouTube, that's essentially just the bait to bring you into the class. I mean, he's not worried about filling seats in class because the drills isn't the magic. Where there are a lot of instructors, they explicitly do not allow filming in their class, and one of the reasons is because they, don't want their material getting out there so that people have to take the class to get the material. And I get that too. But in this particular instance, the classes like Ben's class, like the value you're going to get from paying the money and being there is the individual intimate critiquing more so than the drill. There's nothing magic about Ben's drill. You can find bar hop anywhere. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Is it your turn or my turn?
I got another one. The footwear of choice is combat boots.
That you used to be a combat boot dude?
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Jesus.
Big, heavy, way above the ankle, all the laces. Man, those things were they're practically snowboard boots, I think. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Boots.
Oh my God, buddy. No. The footwear of choice is athletic shoes for an athletic endeavor.
Yes.
We basically wear track shoes, or not track shoes, but
yeah,
running
trail
shoes.
running
Trail running
shoes.
shoes. We're essentially doing trail running with guns, so wear
and
trail
they're
running
disposable.
shoes. Yes.
They're very disposable and they're very expensive.
You'll wear them out super quick. Jesus. Yeah. I've seen some interesting footwear choices out there. But I got to say, I mean, hunter shooting in sandals is always my favorite. I will say, here's one where you might disagree.
Hunter shooting in sandals. Mark Roth shooting in sandals.
As opposed to what? I've never seen Mark shoot in anything that's not sandals.
Yeah, no, this just Mark he's a phenomenon, man. He's got the visor on, he's got a smoke lit, and he is shooting in sandals no matter what the ground surface is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. All right. This is one I think we're going to disagree on. Potentially. I can't remember what you run actually, but
oh boy.
I used to be a big believer that BDC reticles are the answer. That time has passed. What are you running?
Oh, I mean, I love all of our reticles equally. They're all great.
I don't like any of my children more, even though this one is a valedictorian and this one is a drug addict.
So
what do you run in the 1 to 10?
My journey in reticles, I started off MOA because I'm a FUD, and then I switched to Mills for all the reasons, and yeah, because I just felt like you get more precise in Mills and things like that, and then I went away from it because when I switched to Mills, I was shooting with like Jake Latola and Nathan Payne and Chris Sazin. They all had mill reticles. So like when we would talk about holds, we were all talking about the same thing. And then one day after the 1 to 10 came out, I found myself talking to people, and I would go up to like Dylan Easy, be like, "Hey man, what are you gonna hold?" He's like, "I'm just holding the 300 line." Oh, okay. Hey Ruben, what are you holding? I'm gonna hold the 550. Like I was surrounded by people with BDCs, and so like, oh, what was the wind like or whatever, you know, they had something different than mine. So I went back to BDCs for that reason, and right now, given the choice, I like the BDCs because the BDC reticles in the 1 to 10 have about a third less things in them. So they are less busy. I like less of the things, and I would erase things out of that one if I could. That's usually when I go to a product meeting, I just bring an eraser. So I like the BDC, but I use both. I go back and forth. My biggest sob story is that I shot Memorial. The last time I shot Memorial, I thought I had a BDC, and I actually had. That, boys and girls, is how you miss some 400 and 500 yard shots.
I bet. So I went away from the BDC mostly because of an Ironman match. It was a very windy match. I was shooting a 1 to 6 Razor with the JM BDC reticle in it. And a couple things there. The hash marks are on the 100-yard lines, and there is quite a bit of distance between the 500 and the 600-yard hash. And at this match, there were like 680-yard targets. So you're holding the 600-yard hash somewhere in space above the target, which I'm not a fan of. And then the wind was also howling at that match, and that reticle doesn't have windage hash marks, because as you go down, the essentially the elevation hashes grow in width, and they grow so the edges of the hash marks are on, I can't remember if it's 5 or 10 mile an hour wind, whatever the case is. Yeah, so they grow, so you do sort of kind of have a windage hold, but I ended up in a spot where I was like, okay, I'm shooting at 650 yards, so I don't have a hash for that, and I'm shooting in like 20 mile an hour full value wind, and I don't have a hash for that. So I am just holding completely out in space. So then I switched to the mill reticle in order to kind of clean that up. So I'm like, all right, now I have several hashes for wind. I have more hashes and more granular hashes for elevation. Kind of solves those two problems. I do have to do a little bit more math. And so I would remember all my holds and mills. And then anybody who's been listening to this for long enough knows that eventually I sort of figured out a way to turn my mill reticle into a BDC reticle. So I sort of have both options going in, and I will adjust the way that I visualize that depending on the stage. So anything inside of like 400 yards, I'm actually like dialing up a couple clicks until my hash marks line up with the 100-yard increments. And then anything past that, I'm just leaving it set to 0, and I am shooting it as if it's a mill reticle. But the other reason is...
Say that one more time.
So I zero my gun at 100 yards.
Yep.
And then I open up whatever ballistics calculator I'm using. I open up the reticle, and I start dialing up in the calculator until my full mill increments line up more or less with 100-yard. So they'll start on 300. Usually a half mil is 250, a mil is 350, a mil and a half, a half mil is 250, a mil is 300, 2 mils is 400, and then a mil and a half is 350 in between. So they usually line up within a couple yards that way. And then after that, it starts to kind of fall off. So what I'll do is, because most 3-gun stages are going to be inside of 400 yards, I can turn my mill reticle into a BDC reticle. But then if I have some ridiculous Texas stuff where I'm shooting out to 720, I can just leave it zeroed for 100 yards and shoot it like a mill reticle and have finer holds all the way out.
Okay, that's where you lost me.
Yeah.
I'm tracking now. I thought you had some more magic in there that I hadn't heard of yet.
No, same old stuff. But yeah, so I kind of went through that progression. I also I didn't even come from an MOA world. I came from a duplex world because we were broke people living in Eastern Washington shooting squirrels on a farm. So it was like, how much do you hold for 400? I'm like, I don't know, kind of high. Yeah. I didn't even get the MOA step. I went straight to BDCs, shot that for a while, then I went straight to mills.
Yeah, I think BDC is a thing that exists because it sits well on a shelf. It sells well at retail. The people at retail like the idea of, oh yeah, I don't need to know all that information. It's just 1, 2, 3, 400 yards. They like that idea. But what I tell people all the time is it really doesn't matter which one you want to use. You have to know the same thing. You either have 100%. You have to know the correction in MOA, the correction in mills, or the reference to a linear distance. So it's just a matter of, do you want to think in terms of 4, 6, 8 MOA, 1, 2, 3 mills, or do you want to think in terms of 3, 4, 5, 600 yards? In an organic environment, the targets aren't going to stand necessarily right at 350 yards. In fact, usually they're going to be something like 326, 457, 529. So when a target is not at that magic 100-yard line, you have to know the same thing. I say it's like English, Spanish, and French. You can say the same thing in all the languages, but it will sound different. And then someone very cute in the room will be like, well, I like English. Which one's English? It's an analogy, okay? Like, calm down. So Like, but so I really don't care which one I use. It's more important that I know which one I have, and then, like Riser's saying, that you have a solid 0, and then that is all jiving with whatever your ballistics app you're using, so that you, whatever is the simplest way to arrive at those firing solutions, I think is more important.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan, like, Maxwell has more going on because he works for an optics company, so he's always doing new stuff. But every single scope in my gun room, with the exception of one, is in mils. So I'm very comfortable with the system. My spotting scope has a mil reticle in it, so if I'm on the range, the person I'm shooting with can talk to me in the units that I'm looking at. Basically everything in there is all the same, so it makes it nice and easy for me. If you are switching back and forth, that's totally fine, but you do run into the risk of doing what Maxwell did and forgetting which one you're looking through. So,
I mean, if we were to scoreboard the history of the show, you typically perform better than me at the events we were both at. So people should do what Riser does more than whether they should do what I do in this particular instance.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. All right, your turn, homie.
I used to believe that I don't really need knee and elbow pads because, it's just it's just going to be one time. Go risk it for the biscuit, and it'll be fine.
That's when you had young knees and elbows and weren't worried about trashing them. Yeah.
You only get one set. People, like, protect that stuff, and not just protect it like for longevity. Like, you could even decide to, sacrifice yourself, but like the stressors of, like, whatever, go down on a knee on a piece of 223 brass. I'm like, that's going to mess with your head. It's going to distract you. So it's kind of an X factor there of, like, I mean, knee and elbow pads are something to have around, and if you're going to be on your knees or your elbows, you should put those on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, stop messing yourself up. No need for that. All right. Well, we're creeping up on an hour and a half here. I think I got one more. So I'm going to
as well.
I'm gonna stack two because they're both kind of the same thing. So thing number one, anybody shooting in a jersey knows what they're talking about. Thing number two, people who use guns as a profession are good with them. I feel like these are both sort of different versions of the same thing.
So-and-so was in the military. He knows all about guns.
Yeah, exactly. But man, like I know a lot more than I would like. I know a lot of people who have a jersey with all the logos on them that I would take absolutely zero advice from. And I know a lot of people who have 10 years and combat ribbons and all the stuff that I would not take advice from. Knowledge comes from knowing how to do the thing right. Knowledge doesn't like there's a great there's a great climbing quote, which is I'm going to mess it up here. What is it? Oh my God, I'm going to butcher it. It's poor judgment comes from lack of experience, while good judgment comes from a result of having experience. And what they usually mean is experiences. So going into the mountains and getting your butt kicked will lead to you not doing that thing again. There are a lot of people who have been doing the thing for a very long time that aren't good at the thing. They've just never actually had to execute it at a super high level. I mean, I know people who have been in multiple gunfights that are maybe B-class shooters at best, and they've survived all of them.
That was the example that I was going to use from my class earlier this year. We talked about on the show. I have a guy. He signed up for a shoot on the move class. He's pushing back on what I'm teaching, And he's like, you got to understand, I'm coming at this from having won multiple gunfights. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you have won more gunfights than me, for sure. But I've never seen anybody so wildly miss an open USPSA target at 5 yards as that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if I was going to phone it in, I would still get deltas.
Yeah.
Like if I was really just going full retard. But like, no, this guy, like, no, you got to understand, I have won multiple gunfights. I'm like, well, bro, how close were they? Because, and it's not just like one drill or like one time or like, haha. No, multiple strings, multiple targets, missed an entire IPSC target. Okay, so like, you know. And he retired from wherever he came from, and now he's a firearms instructor. You know, but
oh my god, it just the fact that those dudes become the instructors really bums me out, because it just feeds this weird cycle that we have of like people learning from the people who think they know what they're doing but don't. They speak with a lot of authority but not with a lot of knowledge, and it's just really unfortunate.
Well, and it comes
really
from
is.
a good place too. Like, I mean, that some of that's institutional inertia. Guys will just in the progression of their career, like the way those careers are set to play out, they're operational for a time, and then they go to the training cell, and then when they've been in a training cell for a while, they go back to a team, and then when they come back over in that team, they go into the training cell again, and they're progressing in rank the whole time.
I wonder if the dudes that come into that training cell from a team but do know what they're talking about get pushback from the dudes who have been there for a while and don't.
Depends. It's entirely political. Depends who's in charge at that time. You know, do those guys get along? Blah, 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 blah. And there's multiple things. Just because they go into training cell doesn't mean they're teaching firearms. You know, like there's training cell for all the different types of skills that they do. But yeah, there is quite a bit of times where, you know, so and so's up for a training billet, and we got room in firearms, you know, and like it has nothing to do with that person's skill, and you know, in medical, in firearms, in comms, in airborne jumping, you know, all of it. I mean, it doesn't come from that person's skill in that particular their proficiency in that skill. It doesn't come from their ability to teach. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you can articulate it. One of the things that drives me nuts, this is going to be a Gary at some point, but like, don't be the big word guy. It's like, hey, you know what a big word is? Inarticulate. Okay? Like, if you only know one way to say something and that isn't resonating with that person, you're not necessarily a good instructor. So... yeah, it is something that kind of manifests itself, and unfortunately also it's also kind of a good place where if guys are hurt or, you know, they're, you know, not they're getting towards retirement and things like that, it's kind of a cush job that you can ride out your career in. So unfortunately, that is why that kind of stuff happens, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. However, I do think action shooting and the cross-pollination of action shooting with the tactical world in recent years is changing the temperature of the room on that type of stuff. Like, there is a lot of action shooting influence in what is being taught now. Now, is it still kind of, yeah, it's got a long way to go, but hey man, it's a long, even in the short time that I've been doing it, it is a long way from where it was.
Oh yeah, I mean when I shot, it was clear to everybody that shooting competition would get you killed in the streets, and that's, you know, now it's a joke if somebody says that, where people used to be serious about it. So it's definitely come a long ways. All right, you got a good one to close us out here, buddy?
Yeah, I got the one to close us out.
Okay, lay it on me.
Underhand shotgun loading will never die. The old school way of
May,
taking 4, thumbing
may,
them in
may
one
it
at a
rest
time.
in
Daniel
peace.
Horner does it. And he's the
Yep.
fastest.
Not anymore. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Not
Not
anymore.
anymore. He doesn't. Man, I
Yep.
thought I was one of the last true gunfighters holding on to that. I held on to that one for a long time, probably 2 years longer than I should have.
And then you switch, and you're like, "Oh, I'm literally twice as fast, like from the start."
Yeah. No, like I was instantly as good. I was instantly as fast as I was really working at it and trying really hard and being like as crispy sharp as I could possibly be.
Yep.
First day.
I'm really curious 10 years from now, the things that we hold dear as the end all be all for techniques, what's going to be different. It's like I've changed so much in the time that I've been shooting. Like almost nothing that I do is the same as what it was when I first started.
I feel like the guns will almost be different. Like there will be some significant change in the platforms, and the way we shoot them now won't work.
I'm really curious.
You know,
really
like
curious.
it's not like the Alien, but something like the Alien pistol.
Yeah.
That is just fundamentally different than how it is now. Kind of like when people went from revolvers to autos.
Yeah.
You know, and how they gripped a revolver doesn't work in an auto, but like some of the weird design things they did on the 1911 was kind of like, well, that's because that's how people were used to gripping revolvers. And then like as they progressed through the 80s and the 90s, well then things that were significant modifications became standard equipment, like the way they make the safeties and the way they shape the grips and the grip safeties and things like that. Like those fundamentally changed as people were like, oh no, how do we grip an auto pistol now? Not how do we apply our revolver grip to an auto?
Yep.
I feel like it'll be something like that. Like there will be a fundamental change in the platforms, and the way we shoot now won't work.
Yeah,
if it was going to be
so.
anything. I don't know.
I'm really curious where rifle optics go in about the next 5 to 7 years. Like just looking at like, is the XM 105? What is that thing?
Is the M157.
M157. There you go. I just threw out a bunch of numbers and letters, and none of them are even remotely correct. Yeah, just like looking through that thing and playing with it for a couple minutes, I'm like, God, this thing has some cool features in it. And you know, I mean, everything from the military finds its way to the civilian market and vice versa.
At the same time, like I don't think if the M157 was on the commercial market and you could use it in 3-gun, I don't know that people would want it. I don't know that it would.
I don't think it's the right tool for 3-gun, but
absolutely not.
I think about stuff like NRL Hunter, like an M157 that you could zoom into like 20 power, dude. that would be really cool. I feel like, you know, it's really easy in any sport to think that you're at the pinnacle of that sport, and you know, just like with both the companies that we're working at, I'm sure like there's things in the building where I work at that would be by far the best version of whatever that thing is and completely change the way that people use it, but it's just not to a point where it's like a commercially viable product. Like, oh, sweet, we could make this new widget and it would cost 5 times as much as the one that people are currently using, and no one's going to dish out that money. But if we did, it would completely change the game. And I'm confident there's things like that in your building. I'm confident there's things like that in other people's buildings, and it's just a matter of like getting those things to a place where it can become the standard. Because, you know, I mean, when you and I started 5 years ago, it was really just a roll of the dice whether or not you had a red dot on your pistol. And now I don't own any pistol that doesn't have a red dot on it. Like things change, you know? It's like,
yeah. Like, and like people ask the wrong question on that. People ask all the time, well, when is the 157 going to get released to the commercial market? It's not going to. It's not going to anytime soon. They have a huge contract with the U.S. Army to fill. Takes all the production capacity to fill it, and if they were to fill it, every NATO country is right in line behind them to buy them. Question you should be asking is, in what ways will active reticle get adapted into other products?
Yep.
That has some really cool potential far outside the box of even what I could imagine because, well, that's why I'm not in NPD, new product development, because I can't be like, oh yeah, no, we could do this with it. I'm more the guy like, hey, they bring around, hey, we thought of this. Would this be cool? And then so some of that stuff's going around. So like, will you see an XM? No, it's not an XM anymore. It's an M157. No, and even if it was, you couldn't afford it. But you will see elements of it migrate out into commercial product in the future. Not Amazon soon. Everybody thinks like, oh, they're coming out with something. It's gonna, this is gonna air like shortly after SHOT Show. Like, oh, it's gonna come out. No. But
yeah, everybody calm down.
they will.
I also don't think people have a real understanding of how long a product development cycle is.
Oh, minimum. If everything went perfect, like from napkin to launch, minimum 2 years.
Oh, minimum, yeah.
And if it was an easy lift for engineering, like, oh yeah, Connor can just draw that up, in 5 minutes on CAD, 2 years.
Yeah.
Just the way, like, the whole pipeline.
Absolutely nailed the first rev. There wasn't any issues in field testing. Yeah.
Well, like the Eleanor scope will have launched commercially by the time this podcast comes out. So the AMG 1 to 10, the short 1 to 10. All right. I've had one of those in my hand to use in the wild for 5 years.
Yep.
5 years of, evolution and refinement and all that stuff. And even then, when they got to the end, that's a very specific product. It was developed for a very specific end user. So I don't know that even in our segment, even if you can afford one, I don't know that you necessarily want one. It's not necessarily designed for what we do. And, however, it's completely American made. So you look at the price tag, and you're like, whew, that's a really expensive scope. That's what it costs to produce a scope in the U.S.
Yep.
Think about whatever it is you out there listening, what is it that you think you should be paid for whatever it is that you do?
Yep.
And it's probably more than you're getting today. That scope is completely made in America by Americans. And that's what it costs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody wants American made until they look at the price tag. 100%.
At least today.
At least today. We'll see. Well, we're at about an hour and a half. I'm all done.
That's usually when Riser turns into a pumpkin. So, you know what to do, everyone. Question for all you out there. We're going to try and follow some of the series this year in our Briley update section. What matches do you want us to keep tabs on? We're going to keep tabs on, obviously, IPSC rifle, shotgun, 3-gun. USPSA pistol might be an easy one, but are there other things out there that you would be interested in hearing about? Do you want us to keep our finger on the pulse of the NRL Hunter series or the PRS series? Let us know on the perfpodcast@gmail.com. Obviously, hit up our sponsors. Use those discount codes. We got 10% at Briley Manufacturing, OTP 10 over there. And American Defense Manufacturing, we have OTP 15. The more you go over there, use those codes, the more cool stuff we can do for you guys to make cool show content. And with that, everybody, keep those overlays handy. This has been On the Perf, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
See you guys.